Alright, people, well, it has been a while since we have talked about Spider-Man No Way Home, which, of course, that makes sense. The movie came out like almost 2 years ago, which also on its own, just as a fact, is kind of crazy that that's a thing, but it is. But today we are talking about this movie once again, because recently a couple people started taking a little bit of a closer look at the Spider-Man No Way Home, the art of the movie book, which of course gives a great behind the scenes look at Spider-Man No Way Home and a lot of the concept art that was used, that was unused, some alternate designs, some alternate takes. And obviously this is a movie that's like, it'd be really cool to see some of those alternate designs because of what they did with this film. Obviously, they brought back all these villains and gave them major comics accurate suit upgrades, particularly with a character like Electro, who in that original movie, he looked nothing like he does in the comics, but in this movie, he gets that comics accurate flourish to him with the, even the starfish lightning bolt mask type thing going on. So that was really, really cool. And I've made a couple videos in the past about some of the unused concept art designs for this film. Like, for example, I did something about a comics accurate take on Lizard with the lab coat and everything, and the snout. There was something, I think, with Sandman, maybe something with Doc Ock as well. But like I said, this was just a movie that was really good for stuff like that. Now today we are taking a look at, once again, some more unused concept art for some of the villains in this film, particularly Green Goblins. Of course, this is what he actually looked like in this movie. This was the final concept art design from Willem Dafoe's Norman Osborn Green Goblin. And it was a great design because obviously it takes the elements of his original suit in the first movie and just, again, gives it that comics accurate flourish. Just adds in the ripped up, shredded purple hoodie, which gives him the, the look of having the purple hat hoodie. I don't even know what it would be called that Green Goblin has in the comics. Whereas in the original film, he was just like all green. Now the one thing about this though, that's quite interesting, is that there's no mask. Obviously, in the original film, he had a full-on helmet. Now, the main reason they decided not to give him a mask or a helmet for this film was just to allow Willem Dafoe to really unleash his acting chops, and my God, what a great choice that was, because he did, and he did it so well. But then again, it does kind of make you think, and I have always kind of wished, like, man, at least for a little bit, I do wish he had some sort of like comics accurate like Green Goblin mask or helmet type thing going on here, because you look at the comics and Green Goblin always wore a mask or helmet type thing. He never went maskless. Part of that was obviously to hide the secret identity. But here, I did always kind of wonder, like, could we have done more than just the goggles and the hoodie? Could there have been more that could have been done here? And now we have an alternate look at what could have been with two different designs right here. Now, the one on the left it looks pretty much similar to his original Green Goblin suit, just minus part of the helmet. So you still have the goggles and the kind of pointy goblin ears, but it looks kind of weird, so I'm glad they didn't go with that design choice. But then over here you have on the right, definitely closer to the comics, where it's like a mixture of what they went with for the actual design of the film and more comics accurate. I really do love what they went for in the head space, where you have that full on, like, again, I don't know what it's called, but like some kind of like purple hood hat thingy going on, and you got the pointy Green Goblin ears, and you got the green goggles, but then it still leaves the mouth part open, just so then that way, again, you can really show off Willem Dafoe's acting. Now, I do think this would have been really cool, but then again, I think one of the best parts of Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin was the eyes, so I think covering those up would have been not the best choice. But other than that, like, it looks like a really comics accurate suit. I love you have a cape involved here, kind of tattered at the bottom. You have the satchel or the man purse going on as well. So that's a really cool design. But then it brings us to this more interesting design, Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin in an Iron Man suit, which does, in a way, make sense, because of course that was a big thing in this film, was that all of these villains were getting upgrades from Stark technology. So you can see here, he not only has the actual Iron Man suit, but also one of Mysterio's drones. Because keep in mind, Edith and Mysterio's drones were all part of Tony Stark's technology. Now here's a more comics accurate look at it. Instead of the red, it's the purple design, and I like even how the drone at the bottom that he's using as a glider is green. I think that's a pretty interesting idea, is using the drone as the glider. Although none of the drones we saw in No Way Home I think would be big enough to do that, but whatever. I mean, it looks cool. I'm glad they didn't go for this, but it's an interesting idea that definitely would have made sense. Now, speaking of goblins, obviously one of the biggest long-time running theories and fan ideas for the Home trilogy was that Ned Leeds, played by Jacob Batalon, would become the Hobgoblin, because in the comics, Ned Leeds does, for a time, become the Hobgoblin, albeit brainwashed and not actually willingly a villain, but either way, he becomes the Hobgoblin. So that was a long-running theory that he would turn into a Hobgoblin in this franchise. Obviously, he never did, but we come to find out now that there was actually at least an idea for that to happen in No Way Home, where you have here Ned Leeds in an orangish and blue hoodie, probably an homage to the Hobgoblin suit in the comics, flying around on a Green Goblin glider. You can see Pumpkin Bomb in hand, and this is interesting because there's a couple different ways this could have gone. I mean, in the picture, he looks kind of cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, a little insane. So this could be like he took an evil turn. Maybe this is even a variant of Ned from a different universe. You know, we're dealing with the multiverse here. So that could have been a possibility. Or maybe in a similar way to how in the actual final version of No Way Home, Ned ended up using the Cloak of Levitation. He started learning all these Doctor Strange sorcerer powers, the way of the mystic arts. Maybe instead of that, he would have just gotten the Goblin tech and would have been able to help out in that way. Been the Hobgoblin, but in a more heroic version rather than villain Hobgoblin, which is very similar to what happened in the most recent Spider-Man cartoon animated series, which was just called Marvel's Spider-Man, where Peter's best friend, Harry Osborn, in that show, he became the Hobgoblin, but Hobgoblin was not a villain. He was actually a hero that helped Spider-Man. So that would be really cool and actually an interesting idea. As cool as this would have been, and I would have loved to have seen Ned become the Hobgoblin and just see the Hobgoblin in general, I am glad they didn't end up going with this, because I do feel like it would have been kind of just a throwaway little thing. I would have wasted the opportunity. I would much rather they wait and save the idea of the Hobgoblin for maybe this second trilogy, the college trilogy for Tom Holland's Spider-Man. So anyways, guys, those are some alternate looks at Spider-Man No Way Home. What do you think about these? Are you happy with the designs we got? Or do you wish we got some of these alternate takes on the Green Goblin? Or that we got Ned Leeds as a version of the Hobgoblin? So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video and hit the subscribe button so I can keep it up to date on everything that goes on in the Marvel life.